Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. In this tutorial I'm going to talk to you about the super method in Python, but before we jump into the code I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the example that we are going to use in this tutorial. Let's assume we are designing a system for a school that has two types of students, scholarship students and self-expense students. Both types of students share some similar or basic informations like names and IDs, but self-expense students, they have more attributes like tuition fees and payments. Now after we have taken a look at the example, let's jump into the code. But at first, we are going to create two classes for each type of student. First one for scholarship student, the next one is for self-expense student. Let's do it. Let's create the init function, and inside it we're going to pass name and ID. After that, we're going to have self.name is equal to name, self.id is equal to ID. Also, we are going to have another method called basic info. In this method, we are just going to simply print out the basic information of each student. After that, we're going to have a copy of this class and give it and name it as self-expense student. Inside the init method, we have tuition. Also, we have payment. As you remember, we have 4 attributes for this class. Let's just simply define them. The payment equal to payment. After we finished this, let's just have an example. Let's say Tom is a scholarship student, and let's just pass 2 arguments, which are the name and the ID. The name is Tom, the ID let's say 209. And now let's call the method of the basic information. Let's run the code and see what happens. Yeah, we got it. But this is just quite simple. This is not what we want. Look, we have duplicated the code here and here. Also, this method is duplicated in both classes. How can we get a more organized code and more simple code? We can do that just by creating a parent or a superclass. Let's name this class student, because in general it is just a student, and inside it we are going to pass this 2 methods, the init method and the basic info method, as they are duplicated in both. Let's just copy it here and just paste it. And inside here we are just going to get rid of this, also this. Similarly, we are going to do the same inside the self-expense, but instead we are going to have the super method. how can we call the super method? Just by typing super parentheses dot init, and then we are going to have the arguments inside the init method, which are, the name and the ID. That's it. And inside this init method, we're going to have the same thing. Now let's run the code again and see what happens. Sorry, we didn't pass the student as a parent class to each of these subclasses. Right now we got the Tom basic information. Look, Tom is a scholarship student. We didn't define the basic information inside here, but just by simply calling this super method, we can get any method inside the parent class. Imagine you have 1,000 of methods that are duplicated inside, between 2 or more than 2 classes. You can just put them inside a parent class and you can call them just by simply having this super method little statement, so beautiful one. After that, we are going to have another example of the self-expense student. Let's say Ali is a self-expense student, but for the self-expense student, notice we have to pass name, ID, tuition, and payments. So we are going to first pass the name, Ali, and then the ID, let's say 210 is just the one right after him. And then the tuition fees, we are going to say it's 100, no, 1,000, all right, 10,000, and let's say he has paid 2,000. All right, now let's call the Ali basic information, and let's run the code and see what we got. All right, we got the basic information for Ali and the basic information for Tom. We are just simply using the super method. We didn't write the basic information method inside subclasses. We just wrote it once inside the parent class, and we can get it as long as we are having this super method. Also, you can have more complex and more complicated examples. I think this example is enough for today, and I hope you get the idea of using the super method. If you like the video, please subscribe to my channel and hit the like button. Thank you.